Hey, I'm back, Gory J here, doing my 90s haul. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to show number ones, key books, important books, and of course some first appearances in my 90s collection. I found as many as I could. I noticed while I'm looking through them, if you've watched my 80s, I've skipped over a few books from the 80s and just, I'm like, I forgot to put that in there. So, hopefully, I got everything I wanted to show. And just like on the previous videos, or most of my videos, we're going to do Independence, we'll do DC, and then we'll end with Marvel because that's what I have the most of. And we'll go ahead and go. The first one we got here is Star Wars Dark Empire #1. I believe this was the first Star Wars book for Dark Horse Comics. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But this was kind of seemed like a big deal. Star Wars, we're back after, being done with Marvel. So, pretty cool to have this. This is Star Wars Boba Fett Bounty on Barracuda is the name of this issue. This was, I'm thinking that this is the first time Boba Fett had a solo series. This is like, I think, 3 issues. Each issue had a different title underneath it. So, anyways, that's, I believe this is first Boba Fett solo. Alright, this is John Byrne's Next Men, #1. Just a John Byrne creation here, and this is also the series that started up Hellboy. I think, what was it, number 21, somewhere around in that neighborhood. So this was the start of that. Sadly, I don't have that Hellboy issue, but if I see it out cheap enough, I will grab it. I'm just not going to spend a ton of money on it. Shadow Man, #8 from Valiant Comics. This is the first appearance of Master Dark. He's one of the villains in the Valiant universe. We got Bloodshot #1. Bloodshot's one of the more popular Valiant characters. Bloodshot #6 and 7. This is the first appearance of Colin King. He's the guy that becomes Ninjak. And this is the first full appearance of Ninjak. So, Bloodshot 6 and 7. And speaking of Bloodshot, Eternal Warrior #4 and Ryan #0. First appearance as Bloodshot, origin of Bloodshot. Bloodshot's my favorite Valiant character, so very proud to own these 2 books. Next is Exo Manowar. This one's I just recently acquired. Very glad to own it. He's a pretty cool character too. His first appearance. Now on to Image. Now some of you may be laughing at this one, but to me, Young Blood, and it's Rob Liefeld. It's right at the start of Image. I think this is the first Image comic book. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first one. And I would consider, you had several creators in Image, but you got Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, and Jim Lee were probably the biggest ones. Of course, you had Eric Larson and Mark Silvestri and a few others, but this one, I believe, was I believe those were the big 3, Liefeld, McFarlane, and Lee. And so I'm going to show off their creations here. And this book here, Youngblood #2, was the first appearance of Prophet and Shadowhawk, which was created by Jim Valentino. I think he had like a backup story in this issue. Shadowhawk was a pretty underrated character. I think he was just basically a vigilante that broke the backs of criminals. He was another, I think, twist with his character is that he was HIV positive, or he might have had AIDS, but he, I guess, since he didn't have long to live, and And he didn't want to kill the criminals, but he wanted to paralyze them. So it's to really make them suffer. So it was like a twist on the vigilante hero or anti-hero. But Youngblood number 1 and 2. And like I said, Jim Lee, this is Wildcats number 1. This is I think the first appearance of Wildcats, I'm sure. First appearance of Grifter, this guy here, and all these other characters that are now part of the DC universe with the Wildstorm books. So that's why I got this in here, and also the first Jim Lee Image book. And you can't have Image books without Todd McFarlane. Of course, you've got Spawn number 1, first appearance of Spawn. Spawn number 2, first appearance of his biggest villain, biggest enemy, arch nemesis, the Violator. And Spawn number 9, the first appearance of Angela, which is now owned by Marvel Comics. So it's kind of weird how that goes. You got Wildcats members now in the Wildstorm part of DC, and then you got a Spawn character that started out as a Spawn character, and she was around for quite a while as a Spawn character, and then she ended up, of course, Marvel ended up getting the rights to her through, I forgot who her creator was. I hate myself for not remembering. But anyways, Spawn number 9. Okay, let's shoot on over to some DC books. First one here is Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross. This is number 1. This is that Elseworlds type of futuristic story where the heroes are all older. The whole thing is done by Alex Ross, so you've got awesome Alex Ross all the way through it. Pretty good series. This is the only issue I have, but I do have the trade, so pretty cool book. Lobo number 1. I think this is his first solo series. This was a limited series, 1 of 4. Always loved this cover. Just thought it was so cool with his tooth there biting his lip, bleeding. Just an awesome cover there. And Deathstroke, the Terminator number 1. His first Take No Prisoners issue. This was his first solo series. So good to have this. I think I paid $4 for it. New Titans number 99. First appearance of Arsenal. So Roy Harper becomes Arsenal in this issue. The Titans number 1. This is a new start for the Titans team. This is the first appearance of Damien Dark, who was the big bad villain in last season of Arrow. And I think he was in Legends of Tomorrow this season. That's when I quit watching it. So, but anyways, his first appearance, Damien Dark. On to some Green Lantern. This was the first issue of his relaunch. This is the gray-haired Hal Jordan. Green Lantern number 48. This is the first appearance of Kyle Rayner. Green Lantern 49. This was just kind of an iconic Green Lantern cover there. And Green Lantern 50, Kyle Rayner becomes the Green Lantern, and the first appearance of Parallax. Justice Society of America number 1, first appearance of Jesse Quick. JLA number 1, just the relaunch after the Justice League America series. This is Justice League of America JLA number 1. Grant Morrison wrote this one. And Wonder Woman number 90. This is first appearance of Artemis, who's got a big role in the new Red Hood and the Outlaws book. Alright, we'll do a few Superman-related books here. First one I've got, Superboy number 0 and Superboy number 9. This is the first appearance of King Shark, cameo at the end, then his first full appearance. Of course, if you watch The Flash, you've seen King Shark. King Shark was also a member of Suicide Squad when New 52 started. That was the first time I'd ever seen King Shark, and I thought he was pretty awesome. So I wanted to find these books just because of that. Then they made him on The Flash, and I think he's just very cool looking in The Flash. I know the New 52 version of him, he's a hammerhead. He's got the hammerhead, but this is his first appearance, King Shark. Superman number 18. This is the first full appearance of Doomsday, one of his biggest villains. And Superman 75 and Superman 500, or Adventures of Superman 500. Of course, the death of and Back from the Dead. So this one also brought along all the Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator, the new Superboy, and Steel. So, of course, everyone probably has this issue or a version of it. So, pretty cool. I never actually owned for some reason, I was buying comics heavy in the early 90s. I never bought this book for some reason. I guess I didn't buy DC hardly ever. I was a big time Marvel guy, so I acquired these through I've talked about in one of my videos about Shop Goodwill, and I bought a lot off of there, and it was a Superman lot. It had a lot of Superman books, and I got 2 issues of this and 1 issue of this in there, and that first Doomsday that I got was also in the lot. So did not pay, I think I paid $20 for the whole thing. So really cool to get all these. I also got several of the other Doomsday issues in that lot. Superman 123, this is the first time he's in that lightning suit or whatever. I've never read it. It's got that crazy new logo, and I just wasn't a fan of this. Alright, let's go to Batman related. And you've got the first issue of Birds of Prey. And Birds of Prey number 8. This is probably the most expensive Birds of Prey book to try to get. It's the very rare. It's a very rare book. There wasn't a big print run of it, and I guess it's like the first date or kiss of Nightwing and Oracle. Catwoman number 1, her first ongoing solo series. She did have a mini-series before this. Robin number 1, this is his first mini-series. Then there was a Robin 2 and 3 mini-series after this. And then he got his own ongoing. This Tim Drake version of Robin was so cool back then. I don't know what it was about him. He was one of my favorites when I first got back into comics, and I was buying some Batman books. I remember getting the Nightwing action figure, and the thing was, he was so modern for, he had the cool R. It was like, this little flashy R there. He didn't have just little green underwear or whatever. He had whole bottoms there. His cape was not just yellow. It had a black cape. He was so much cooler, and it was a very needed update to the Robin costume. And then, of course, Robin, Dick Grayson became Nightwing. This is his first solo series. This was a mini-series. On to some Batman books. Batman 497. This is not an expensive book. You can get it rather cheap. This is a newsstand one I got right off the rack back in the day. Bane breaks Batman's back. Batman 457. This is the first time Tim Drake has become Robin. He is full-on Robin after this issue. Batman 475. This is the first appearance of Renee Montoya, who, you know, is one of the detectives on the Gotham PD, and she's also Batwoman's girlfriend at times. Batman 567. This is the first appearance of Cassandra Cain, who later becomes Batgirl, who then later becomes Orphan. Detective Comics 647. This is the first appearance of Stephanie Brown, who later becomes Spoiler. Batman Shadow of the Bat, #1. Still got this in the package. I hadn't opened it. It's got all this other stuff in it. I should probably open it and read it, but I think if I find another one, because this is not an expensive book. I think I may have got this for $1 or just a few dollars. Anyways, the first appearance of Zsasz. I think he's just a underrated Batman villain. I think he's easily defeated. Like when you play the Arkham games on the, on PlayStation or Xbox, he's one of the easier defeated villains on those games. But just the fact that every time he kills someone, he scars himself with a line through it. You got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the fifth line for the fifth victim. He's got them all over his body. So just, of course, he wouldn't be a Batman villain unless they were insane. Batman Sword of Azrael, #1, first appearance of Azrael. So that will conclude the DC part of this. And let's show off some Marvel with Amazing Spider-Man. So first up, we've got Venom, #1. This was his Venom Lethal Protector, his first miniseries, limited series, classic Mark Bagley cover. This was easy book I think this is a pretty easy book to get. You don't have to pay arm and leg for it, but just really cool to have Venom's first ever, series here. Then we got the Todd McFarlane Spider-Man run. These are not expensive books unless you get the platinum. But this is the regular version, the silver version, and the gold. I got the gold one when I was a kid. I bought a pack at Walmart of Spider-Man books. Walmart would have these packs, where you can get several books in one, and it had the entire Torment storyline, the first 5 issues of Spider-Man, and the #1, of course, was like the gold cover. I later on found both of these here in the last couple years, pretty cheap. I didn't pay much for them at all. And Spider-Man 13, of course, a cover swipe from #1 in his black costume, and this look has gone on to, been paid homage to in many other books. So, really cool iconic covers. Web of Spider-Man 118. This is the first appearance of the Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly. He's back now. Of course, he was the new Jackal. In his new series, he's conflicted. He wants to do good, and he's also doing bad. He's actually got, the whole angel on your shoulder, the devil on your shoulder, kind of telling him what to do. Really interesting book. So I will pick up the new Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider book when it comes out, #2. But his first appearance right here, Spider-Man 2099, #1. This launched the 2099 universe as far as the actual books. Then we got Amazing Spider-Man 365. This is his first appearance. Amazing Spider-Man 344. This is the first appearance of Cardiac. First appearance of Cletus Cassidy, who later becomes Carnage. And speaking of, we've got Amazing Spider-Man 361, 362, and 363. This is the first Carnage story. This is all 3 parts of it. Got all of these in the last year or two. Actually, I acquired these pretty recently. I got this one, I think, last year. This one's at newsstand here. I've told a story in my top 10 modern books that I did. I told a story about this book. I actually had a newsstand of this. Bought it right off the grocery rack at a grocery store. Paid $1.25 for it. Also bought some of the DC Cosmic cards. Got it home. Walked home because I was in walking distance of the store, and was just loved the cards because I was big into the cards, and I didn't really care about the book as much. And I wanted some more cards, so I returned this book to the grocery store the same day with my receipt and asked if I could get money back because I wanted to buy some cards. So she let me do it. And usually you can't do books that way because you may read it and then return it, but I honestly didn't read it. I don't even know if I really looked through it. I just wanted some cards, and that went on to become probably the biggest comic book regret of my life was returning the first appearance of Carnage. Anyways, I've got it now. Paid $40 for this version of it, so that's not too bad. And got the whole little run here. Now let's do a mix of Marvel books. Some miscellaneous Marvel. Got Incredible Hulk 377. This is when he goes back green. He's got also the Bruce Banner intelligence in this issue. Iron Man 305 and 304. First appearance of the Hulkbuster armor. Daredevil 305. This is the first appearance of Terror, who was a member of the Mercs for Money for Deadpool. Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. This was number 1. Frank Miller wrote this. John Romita Jr. did the art. Basically a retelling of Daredevil's origin. Punisher Warzone number 1. Not an expensive book. It was he had 3 titles going at once. Punisher War Journal, and Warzone. It's got the cool die-cut cover. John Romita Jr. art. Death's Head 2, number 1. First appearance of Death's Head. This is from the Marvel UK comics. Slapstick number 1. This was his first appearance, who later went on to become a member of the Mercs for Money and is in his own solo series right now. Fantastic Four 347. This is supposedly the death of the Fantastic Four. And then you've got Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and the Hulk that becomes the new Fantastic Four to rescue, or I don't know, that they were supposedly killed or kidnapped or something. I can't remember. And Fool Killer number 1. This is kind of a origin of Fool Killer and the first appearance of Kurt Gerhardt, who becomes Fool Killer. Guardians of the Galaxy number 1. Of course, this is not the famous team from the movies, but this was the first ongoing series of Guardians of the Galaxy. And there is Yondu. You got Yondu there, so he is from the movies. And I haven't seen the new movie, so there may be more. I don't know. New Warriors number 1. This was kind of like a version of what you'd call like New Avengers or Young Avengers. So this was a teenage team here, and this was their first issue. Sleepwalker number 1. I've heard stuff about this book as far as maybe him being in a movie or a TV show. I don't know. This rumors, but I got this for $1 recently in the last 2 years. So his first appearance. Deathlock, book 1 of 4. This was part of a miniseries. I think this was the first appearance of Michael Collins. He's the Deathlock in this story. Of course, Deathlock, the actual first Deathlock, was from the 70s. And the big bad book going around now, Darkhawk number 1. Like I said, I haven't seen the new Guardians movie. Everyone saw that the Guardians of the Galaxy toys had a Darkhawk toy in it. So everyone's going crazy trying to get Darkhawk. Whatever. I already had it. So I thought I'd just show it here. First appearance of Darkhawk, his first issue here. Ghost Rider number 1. This was the new Ghost Rider. First appearance of Danny Ketch. Infinity Gauntlet number 1. I bought this right off the rack from the grocery store back in the day. Got the whole series like that. All of them in the newsstands. Still have them. One of my all-time favorite event stories in comics. And if you've never read it, do yourself a favor and read it. And Marvel Superheroes Winter Special, featuring X-Men and Iron Man, and a little appearance of a little-known character named Squirrel Girl. This was another one, newsstand, bought it off of the rack back in the day. I was buying Marvel Superheroes just because it was featuring X-Men, and it was usually 80 pages, so it had a lot to read. And did not realize that this was the first appearance of Squirrel Girl until I got back into comics 2 years ago. A friend of mine had this and said it's first appearance of Squirrel Girl. Did not realize it. And, of course, back, I hadn't read it in 20 years or close to it. So, when I did originally read it, I went back and looked, and there's the Iron Man story in here features Squirrel Girl. So, her first appearance right here, got it for $2.25 right off the rack. Alright, you would not be watching a Corey J. Hall video and not expect X-Men books. And this is what I got the most of, and this is what we're going to conclude the video with. And I've got a run of them here. Oop. Here, my dog's going crazy. Generation X number 1. This was this cool book here that I don't think this was the first appearance of Gen X, but it was the first appearance of Implate. X-Man number 1, his first appearance from Age of Apocalypse, Nate Gray. And I love this character. I wish they'd bring him back. He's like the Age of Apocalypse version of Cable. X-Men 15, first appearance of Onslaught, which was huge in the 90s. It crossed over all the Marvel titles. X-Factor 71. This is the first all-new, all-different X-Factor with Havoc, Polaris, Strong Guy, Multiple Man, and Wolfsbane. Quicksilver is also on this team. He's just not on the cover. X-Men Prime, number 1. First appearance of Marrow. X-Men Alpha, number 1, one shot. This was the start of the Age of Apocalypse. At my work, there was a guy that had a box of comics that he inherited from his uncle. And he asked if I wanted them. And when I say a box, I'm talking about a moving box. A box that merchandise comes in. And it was over 100 books. I paid him $50. I just kind of glanced through it. Gave him $50. It had that Generation X number 1, X-Men Prime, and the entire Age of Apocalypse run. So this, the Omega, and every 4-issue series that was restarted, like Amazing X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, Weapon X, Gambit and Externals, Generation Next, Factor X, and so on and so forth. So that's what I was pleased. I think that was the biggest win out of that. I didn't get many keys out of it. I did get a few, and I'll show them to you here in a second. But this was in the box, the entire Age of Apocalypse run. Rise of Apocalypse, got this back in the 90s. It starts the origin of Apocalypse. Marvel Comics Presents 72. This starting the Weapon X storyline. Marvel Comics Presents 85. First appearance of Cyber. Wolverine number 50. Die cut cover. First appearance of Shiva. Wolverine 80. First appearance of X-23 in the test tube. This was in that lot that I bought with the Age of Apocalypse. And also, this was to Wolverine 88, the famous Deadpool stabbing Wolverine cover. And Wolverine 100, this was the issue where Wolverine went feral with the whole Neanderthal-looking no-nose Wolverine. Alright. X-Men, number 1 from 1991. The biggest selling book of all time. This is the one that the gatefold cover that has all the covers on it. I also have the original version of just this cover. That's I got off the grocery rack back in the day. This is one I just recently acquired in the last couple of years. X-Men number 5. This is the first appearance of Maverick. Also awesome Jim Lee cover, Wolverine Omega Red. X-Men number 4, the first appearance of Omega Red. X-Men number 8, the first appearance of Gambit's wife, Belladonna. X-Men 25, the issue where Magneto rips out Wolverine's adamantium. Uncanny X-Men 281. This is the start of the Gold Team. You had X-Men 1 and X-Men 281 that started that up the same month, released the same month. And this was a Mutant Milestone issue. Uncanny X-Men 282, the first appearance of Bishop. Uncanny X-Men 303, for you fans of magic, this is the death of Ilyana Rasputin. She contacted the legacy virus and died from it. And of course, in comic books, you don't stay dead forever. Uncanny X-Men 316, this is the first appearance of M, who was a big Generation X member. Uncanny X-Men 317, this is the first appearance of Blink. And if you haven't seen the new trailer for Gifted, it's like a teaser trailer. Blink is supposedly in that new FX series, so that might be a book you may want to grab up while you can. Uncanny X-Men 345, this is the first appearance of Maggot, who became an X-Men team member. Uncanny X-Men 350, this is the origin of Gambit, the reveal of what Gambit did. Bishop, when he came from the future to the past, he had it out for Gambit because of what he did. So what Gambit did was, back in the Mutant Massacre, he sold out the Morlocks to the Mr. Sinister and the Marauders, who ended up, of course, massacring the Morlocks, and Gambit was responsible for it. Gambit number 1, this was his first limited series. And the first appearance of Gambit, Uncanny X-Men 266. Got New Mutants 100,